I don't have the courage to play her.
But your prenup, is it going to be like Britney Spears? She gets $300,000 a year for every year that she's with you, or is it going to be less?
We're going to have a prenup. You have to have a prenup.
Have you started working on it yet?
I've written too many books, Robin, about prenups not to have one. I said
you have to. You have to.
No, I have men that are destroyed. I have friends that are very smart, killer people that people are afraid to even deal with them. And yet a wife, 5'2", 100 pounds, destroys them.
Me too. I know guys who I have known for years, and they get married and don't sign a prenup. They're afraid to ask their women for a prenup.
I was just reading in the paper that one of the Gottis is having problems with his wife. I said, the only people who are not afraid of mobsters seems to be the wives.
Yeah. I mean, hot chick.
That's right. By the way, I've seen that many times.
Explain to me, you're a good judge of human character. Why is a man afraid to ask for a prenup? I mean, you will say to Melania, how do you do it?
Well, it's a very tough thing. Actually, you know, doing business deals is sort of natural and easy as far as I'm concerned. Doing prenups is a whole different deal.
Because it's emotional.
You're in love with someone, you go up to her, you tell her how in love you are. You know, in the case of Melania, I love you very much. You're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen.
Gorgeous.
And we're going to be together forever. But just in case it doesn't work out, would you please immediately sign this? So it's not it's an unattractive instrument.
But wait a second. If Melania says to you, all right, what do you propose? And you probably say, okay, talk to my accountant. He's got a proposal for you, right? You're not going to get into the nitty-gritty with her, are you?
I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty.
And do you tell her to get a lawyer?
You have to have a lawyer. If she doesn't have a lawyer, which of course is a disaster because all of a sudden she'll show up with this killer. But if she doesn't have a lawyer, you know, it doesn't hold up.
So you sit down and you say, okay, Melania, we'll give you $300,000 a year for every year you're with me. If we should have kids, you get a bonus.
What do you pay for a kid?
What do you pay for a kid? Give me a ballpark.
I'll give them whatever they want.
Right. So, and then she comes back and says, not enough.
Right.
Is that a signal to head for the hills?
Well, it's two ways. You know, there are women that won't sign prenup and they have good intentions. And there are women that won't sign prenups and they have bad intentions. Now, I know a woman who's totally in love with the guy. She refuses to sign. She said, our marriage is more than that. I honestly don't believe she's trying to rip him off.
Okay.
She just feels that it's a horrible thing. I don't think my mother...
Should the guy marry her, though?
My father, many, many years ago... He was 93 when he passed away. Many years ago, he had a 63-year marriage to a wonderful woman named my mother.
Right.
Okay?
Yes.
And I heard that he asked her for a prenup. Can you believe this? This is like, you know...
He did.
Yeah.
He was way ahead of his time.
Like 70 years ago.
He asked her for a prenup?
Well, he was great. He was ahead of his time. And he asked her for a prenup. And she threw him out of the house. She said, well, they actually didn't even throw him out of the house because they didn't live together in those days. You know, in those days, you get married and then you move in together. But he actually asked her for a prenup, and she would sign. She had good intentions.
So you haven't begun the negotiation with Melania yet?
I haven't actually begun that negotiation.
Right, but she's picked out her lawyer, and then that will begin.
No, she hasn't even picked out a lawyer. But
I admire this, because quite frankly, the marriage laws are somewhat archaic. A guy like you've built up wealth, you've worked hard. I see you hustle every day. No reason, just because you fell in love and then out of love, you should have to give up all your money.
You don't want her to be destitute if you should leave.
But sure you do. Why not? Let him miss you.
I have a friend who's a total brutal killer.
Okay? Go ahead.
He just kills everyone. He's a very rich guy, and he's had a couple of horrible marriages.
Right.
So now he meets a new woman, and he tells me, Donald, this is the one. Now, his last one ripped him off for about 50.
Right.
50 million, not
50 big one.
The one.
You know, she was married to him for 2 years. She made him dinner every once in a while.
Right.
And then she gets $50 million.
$50 million? Who is that guy? I want to meet him.
Let Robin meet him.
So now he calls me. He said, Donald, I've met the one. Of course, he's told me this now 4 times.
How stupid.
Yeah. So I said, you're going to get a prenup, right? He said, Don, honestly, I don't need it. This is one. Now, here's a guy who's a genius businessman, but he's a
barracuda.
What happens to guys at home?
Well, what happened, Robin, he married her 2 years ago. And about a week and a half ago, he told me, I said, how's she doing? That son of a bitch, I'll get her.
The guy probably thinks I'm late in a month.
It's over already.
It's over already.
So I said, by the way, tell me yes. Tell me you had a prenup. He said, I don't. I have to go through it again. So,
oh, my God.
She's got one of the greatest bodies ever.
Well, what about the face?
Honestly, Robin.
All right, body's a 10. What's the face?
Well, you never get to the face.
Ooh.
The body goes.
Let's go back to you and Melania, though, for 1 second before we move on to The Apprentice. So you're going to get married, and this woman has captivated you. I mean, it's not easy, because she is capturing your heart.
Yeah,
and you got a lot of options.
I have a lot of
she must be something really special, because you had The pick of everybody.
A friend of mine said to me, I know a guy gets a lot of poontang, not as much as Mr. Trump, but a lot of poontang. And he says to me, I'm getting married. I go, what are you, crazy? He says, every morning I wake up, she's giving me oral. Now, I said, then I understand.
Yeah.
She might be the biggest pain in the ass, but I understand.
You know, the National Enquirer, Howard, did a story on me not so long ago that in the history of the world, nobody has gotten more beautiful women than I have, okay? Which is a great compliment.
Yes.
In fact, many years ago, I was on your show, and you were putting all of them up in posters, remember?
Yeah, I had a chart.
How was this one? How was that one?
And by the way, I'm sure I missed thousands.
You missed a lot of
I
did. Actually, some of the ones on the chart were not victims.
Understood.
But you missed quite a few, but that's okay. So that was a great compliment. So Melania must have something. And you know what it is? I believe in the woman behind the man and the man behind the woman, but I believe in the woman behind the man. I mean, I think women don't get enough
I've never
credit.
done it with the woman behind me, but go ahead.
If you think, take a look at Andre Agassi. He's with Brooke Shields.
Disaster.
Life is a mess, right?
He was the number one player in the world. He meets Brooke Shields, falls in love, marries her. He goes to 292 players. You know about that.
She ruined him.
I watched him play at the U.S. Open 3 years ago.
Brilliant? Yeah.
3 years ago, he got wiped out in the first round. He didn't even get a point. It was like terrible.
Right.
I said, isn't it sad he's gotten old?
Right.
All of a sudden, he meets Steffi Graf.
Now he's great.
He's the number one player in the world. I mean, he
Well,
goes,
would you want to stay home with Steffi Graf?
Well, you know,
He's
Steffi
probably
Graf,
motivated
No,
now.
Steffi Graf is a great girl, and she's one of the greatest.
She's not hot, though.
She's got one of the greatest bodies ever.
She's beautiful.
But what about the face?
Honestly, Robin.
Face. All right, body's a 10. What's the face?
Well, you never get to the face because the body's so good.
You wouldn't go out with Steffi Graf. She's not hot enough for
Well,
you.
you know, it doesn't matter. The point is that he...
But you're avoiding the question about Melania.
Yes. Here's what happened.
Is it a sexual...
No,
did she
it's
put out like
everything.
never before?
Well, it's everything. It's not sexual. It's the friendship. It's
Is it the
sexual,
oral?
It's everything.
A guy's always loved it. Are you an oral
You know
guy?
what
I'm not a
happens?
big fan of that.
This show is always a disaster.
You're in a corner now. Answer the question.
Listen, Robin. Other than the fact
Come on.
this guy's a friend of mine, this show's always a disaster.
Be straight with
The
me.
last time Howard said